What happens when a sociopath meets a dark empath? Everyone knows that sociopaths are dangerous, cold, calculating, and often fearless when it comes to breaking social rules. But what happens when a sociopath crosses paths with a dark empathic person? Most people haven't even heard of dark empaths before. Those rare individuals who combine high emotional intelligence with manipulative tendencies. In this video, I'm going to break down exactly what happens when these two unpredictable personalities collide, and why their battle isn't just psychological, but a masterclass in hidden warfare. The sociopath's game plan. Let's start by understanding the sociopath. A sociopath is wired to exploit others without any remorse. They're direct, they act fast, and they don't waste time worrying about the emotional fallout from their actions. To a sociopath, most people are just pawns in their game. They'll use charm 1 minute, intimidation the next, and ruthless logic to get exactly what they want. Their complete lack of empathy isn't a weakness. It's their biggest weapon, because it lets them make decisions that would cripple anyone else with guilt. If you ever encounter a sociopath, don't expect them to feel bad or have second thoughts. They'll keep pushing your boundaries without even blinking. Conventional emotional appeals, like trying to make them see how they've hurt you, just won't work because they don't process emotions the same way. Instead, you have to approach them with clear, logical consequences or boundaries that appeal to their self-interest. One common mistake people make is thinking sociopaths are always violent or openly cruel, like the villains in movies. But in reality, most are way more subtle. They're the co-workers who take all the credit for your ideas, the partners who gaslight you into doubting your own reality, or the friends who vanish the moment you actually need help. Another misconception is that they're easy to spot because they're obviously evil. But sociopaths often blend in perfectly, using superficial charm to hide their true nature. For examples, look at con artists or high-level fraudsters. Many are classic sociopaths who come across as charming and helpful at first, drawing you in with promises or flattery, but underneath, they're only playing for themselves. Think of famous cases like Bernie Madoff, who built an empire on lies and exploitation without a shred of regret, or everyday scam artists who befriend vulnerable people only to drain their savings. Transition. But a sociopath's tactics only work when the people around them don't see what's happening. Enter the dark empath's world, someone who doesn't just see through manipulation, but uses empathy as their own tactical weapon. The dark empath counterplay. Now, on the other side, we have the dark empath. These are people who understand emotions better than anyone else, but instead of using that insight for genuine support or connection, they twist it to their advantage. Unlike sociopaths who completely ignore feelings, dark empaths can read people instantly, picking up on subtle cues like body language or tone, and then they subtly influence, misdirect, or even emotionally blackmail to get what they want. It's like having a superpower for manipulation, powered by deep emotional awareness. When dealing with a dark empath, you should know they don't fight openly or with brute force. They study their opponent quietly, then make moves that twist social dynamics, shift alliances, and even make the other person second-guess their own sanity. A different approach is to keep interactions factual and avoid sharing emotional vulnerabilities, because that's the fuel they use against you. Stay detached and document everything to protect yourself. A big misconception is that all empaths play fair or are inherently good. But dark empaths are experts at things like guilt-tripping, spreading subtle rumors, or manipulating perceptions in a way that no one even realizes it's happening. People often think they're just really understanding or caring, when in fact, they're calculating every move. Another mistake is assuming they're weak because they're emotional, far from it. Their empathy makes them dangerously precise. Examples include the HR manager who always seems so caring and approachable, but quietly steers office politics to their advantage, getting rivals demoted without ever raising their voice. Or think of the family member who knows all your emotional weak spots from years of listening and uses them exactly when needed. like during an argument to make you back down. Real-life figures like certain cult leaders or manipulative therapists often fit this mold, using emotional insight to control groups without overt force. Transition. So what happens when these two face off? It's not sparks that fly, it's a silent chess match. Collision course. Psychological warfare. Unleashed. When a sociopath finally meets a dark empath, both quickly realize that their usual tricks of obvious manipulation aren't going to cut it. The sociopath falls back on direct moves like straight-up lies, intimidation tactics, or creating emotional distance to unsettle their opponent. But the dark empath counters with subtlety, influencing people around them, quietly undermining the sociopath's reputation through whispers and alliances, and setting up social traps that make the sociopath look unstable or untrustworthy. Both can dish out serious psychological pain, but neither one backs down easily, turning the encounter into a prolonged battle of wills. If you're caught in the middle of something like this, you need to recognize the warning signs. Rapid shifts in group loyalty, sudden breakdowns in trust, or escalating he said, she said battles that seem to come out of nowhere. The best approach is to stay neutral and step lightly. Getting involved often means getting burned, so document interactions and protect your own position without picking sides. A common mistake is thinking the more psychologically sophisticated person will always win, but these clashes often end in mutual destruction or a forced stalemate, not a clear victory, because both are too evenly matched in their toxicity. People also misconceive that it's just a personal beef, but it escalates quickly into something that affects everyone involved. For social proof, consider workplace feuds where two master manipulators set out to destroy each other, one spreading rumors and the other using outright sabotage, leading to firings and team breakdowns. Or friendship circles that completely split apart after two toxic leaders go to war, with everyone else forced to choose sides and relationships ruined in the process. We've seen this in celebrity scandals or political backstabbing where no one comes out unscathed. But there's one critical variable left: the environment around them. When the crowd gets pulled in, what makes this matchup even more explosive is how the battle spills over. Unlike sociopaths who might try to isolate their target or sow general chaos to regain control, dark empaths excel at triggering empathy in others. They recruit bystanders to their side by playing the victim or the concerned party. The sociopath, in response, might double down on division or try to turn people against the dark empath through fear or misinformation. Before long, the fight spreads, pulling in friends, colleagues, and sometimes entire social circles into the chaos. To handle this, watch for shifts in group energy, a sudden divide where people feel pressured to take sides, subtle paranoia creeping in, or alliances forming overnight. Remember, this isn't just a fight between two people. It's a ripple effect that can destabilize whole communities, so the smart approach is to maintain distance and observe without engaging. It's easy to make the mistake of thinking someone else is entirely at fault, or that things will just work themselves out. But when two master manipulators are at war, ignoring the problem usually makes it worse and drags more people in. Another misconception is that the crowd can stay neutral. Often, the manipulation is so skilled that bystanders get pulled in without realizing it. Examples include online group drama that turns toxic overnight, like in social media communities where one person subtly rallies supporters while the other spreads disinformation, leading to mass unfollows and harassment. Or family reunions that suddenly feel like battlegrounds after almost secret disputes, with relatives divided and long-term rifts created. We've seen this in real-world cases like corporate scandals or community conflicts where the fallout affects dozens of innocent people. So, what really happens when a sociopath meets a dark empath? You get a hidden war where emotion battles logic, subtlety faces brute force, and everyone nearby gets pulled into the conflict. The most dangerous thing isn't their individual tactics, but how normal everything looks from the outside until you're suddenly caught in the crossfire, wondering how things escalated so fast. If you've seen drama escalate out of nowhere or watched two people tear apart a group without anyone realizing why, it might be this exact dynamic at work. Darkness knows darkness, and when two power players like this meet, nobody walks away unchanged. Have you ever witnessed a showdown between personalities like these? Drop a comment and share your story, and if you want to understand the psychological forces behind everyday life, hit subscribe. The truth is, human behavior is rarely what it seems.